Here we go, Monday edition. AFC West champs, number one seed in the AFC. It's your Denver Broncos. Here to talk about it today. It's Orange Blue today. Cecil, Lammey, Andrew, Mason, and Mace. Our takeaway show might be a little brief for what we saw in Week 18.
Yeah. The game didn't really reveal all that much. It was very much just as they say in baseball, get them on, get them over, get them home.
Yeah.
Get the game going, get the task done, get out of the building. I mean, really, there came a point in that game, Steve. I don't know about you. I haven't watched your post-game rant, but there came a point in that game as I was watching it where it's just, all right, can they just emerge from this thing healthy?
Right.
Because
yeah.
You're watching Alex Forsythe leave and then come back, PJ Locke leave and then he didn't come back, and then Garrett Bowles leave and he came back, but he was talking about his ankle injury after the game and saying, hey, it's going to be 2 weeks. I'll be ready in 2 weeks. But certainly that kind of comment tells you he's going to be kind of rehabbing and fighting to get ready in a fortnight. And there comes a point in that game where you're just thinking, all right, these guys, the main task, especially when they're up the entire game, the main task is just get through this thing healthy, because there was no threat they were losing that game. They were not losing to a Trey Lance-led team. Trey Lance proving why he hasn't launched as a quarterback in the NFL.
Very inaccurate.
Yeah, I mean,
oh my God, can't throw it in the ocean standing on the beach. You saw the field tape, Mace. Like, there were guys that were open. He just can't hit guys.
Yeah, if he'd been accurate, they would have had a chance to win that game.
Yep.
Now, granted, it was two vanilla game plans on both sides because, as we know, if the Chargers win in New England on Sunday, they're coming back to Denver. So nobody was going to show much of anything yesterday. Nobody was going to show much of a hand. But even with that relatively vanilla game plan, if Trey Lance is accurate instead of being below, I'd never used this phrase before, but I said he was below the Tebow's line, which I said Tim Tebow had a career 47.9% completion percentage, and he came in below that. So, by the way, apparently in some circles on social media, it's still controversial to criticize Tim Tebow's career as quarterback because I've been hearing it.
Oh, boy. The Tebowites are still there, man. They're still there.
Oh, my gosh.
He wasn't good, people. He was fun.
It was
good
fun.
Man.
It's a cool part of Broncos history. He was not going to be a good long-term quarterback. Remember, 4 teams said he wasn't good enough, okay? Anyway, so I digress. But, man, like, the opportunities were there for him. And I guess if you have concern out of this game, Cecil, that if Trey Lance had been accurate, this game would have been interesting. But
more interesting than you want.
Yeah, but he wasn't, and it wasn't. Trey Lance at quarterback, they were never going to win that game. But, I mean, let's say Tyrod Taylor were their backup quarterback and had played that game yesterday. It might have been a completely different outcome.
Yeah, and during the post-game show, I went through all the AFC and some of the NFC, like, backup quarterbacks. Other than Nick Mullins, pretty much every backup quarterback is, like, clearly, 100% better than Trey Lance.
Yeah.
And Nick Mullins is probably close. I can't say he's better than Trey, but Nick's probably better.
Let me say this. If you'd put Jarrett Stidham out there for the Chargers, that would have been a very tight game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That says a lot.
Stiddy's one of the better backups in the postseason. When we look at Week 18, guys like Mitchell Trubisky are playing. Give me Jarrett Stidham over that guy.
Trubisky cooked yesterday.
Uh-huh, yeah. Against the Jets team that went without an interception for the first time since the 30s.
Man, what do you think? Aaron Glenn, an excellent cornerback in his day, to coach a team that doesn't have a pick the entire season? My word.
Yeah.
How?
What's up is down. What's down is up. It's craziness.
How do you not have a pick the entire season? I never thought that things I never thought I would see in my life. And a team going an entire season without an interception. That's impossible. I thought it was impossible. It's not. Obviously not.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's the Jets. I guess in terms of the negative, nothing is impossible with the New York Jets.
That's a very good way to put it with that team. Anything can happen. So, wild week 18. I said it many times, Mace. I really can't take much, good or bad.
Yeah.
You know, the broad brush people of like the Broncos are frauds. You don't win 14 games and be a fraud. Oh my God, the defense got turnovers. Well, it's Trey Lance and he's terrible. So it's like, okay, it's good to get some of those turnovers. The pick six was fun. Like, just get healthy, get through this game. The end of the game with those touchdowns they called back and they kept like, Chargers score, touchdown taken away, Chargers score. Like, please just end this game, please.
Yeah.
So the Broncos can get that number 1 seed, please.
I mean, the end of the game was only interesting to the gamblers, as I tweeted out and I quoted Al Michaels from Super Bowl 29. Hearts were beating across the land on that last series.
It's because they were.
Yes, we were watching in the press conference room as I was setting up for Sean Payton's press conference to get the video of it, and it was just I mean. It was funny watching that, especially when they converted the fourth down there with about like 30 or 40 seconds left. I mean, everybody laughed at that moment.
What are we doing?
Oh gosh. Oh, but yeah, it's a game that I would say I think everyone probably wanted a blowout, but remember what last year's blowout against what was left of the Chiefs led to the following game, and the Broncos got stomped. Either way, it was going to, whatever type of result, you were going to have like false positives, false negatives one way or the other. So it's probably a game that you don't want to take too many conclusions from, like in a vacuum. Now, I think it's fair to say, all right, let's look at maybe the broader sample size of the last 3 games and say, okay, are there some trends that are concerning?
Your red zone piece we talked about today.
I'm concerned about that. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I'm concerned about 3 of 9 in the red zone in the last 3 games. That's a trend. That's a problem, okay, for the offense. That's bogging down in the red zone since the Packer game. And it's frustrating to watch for this offense because it was exquisite in the red zone against Green Bay. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, it's just been bogging down game after game. So that is something that, well, they're going to have a couple of bonus practices Friday and Saturday before a normal week. And I would imagine a focal point of those bonus practices on Friday and Saturday is going to be red zone work.
Should be.
Yeah. Typically, when they have those bonus practices coming, usually when they're coming out of a bye week or a mini bye week, and they have like a chance to do a little bit of extra work, it's always a point of emphasis on, okay, what are we doing wrong? Like, we've done a little self-scouting. Where do we have to improve? And just because you're in the postseason doesn't mean you're not working on trouble spots to try to get them right. So I think they'll probably spend quite a bit of extra time Friday and Saturday on red zone, on the offensive side specifically. Red zone defense, I don't think it's the same level of concern there, certainly, even though the Jags did have some success and the Chiefs did have a red zone touchdown back on Christmas. Not the same level of concern there. Red zone offense, I think that's something that has the potential to be an undoing in a tight game against the type of opposition that you could be facing, especially if the opposition ends up being Houston, Buffalo, or the Chargers there in just under a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and the thing is, every team has a fatal flaw. The Broncos' red zone woes are a new fatal flaw, but you know this, Mace. Teams will especially study the last 4 weeks when you look at an opponent, and in the last 3 weeks, those red zone numbers haven't been what they need. Sean Payton, though, I believe undefeated after a bye, and this is a bye, and it certainly would be nice for them to continue that streak.
Yeah.
They did some great self-scouting after their first bye during the regular season. What was that, week 12 or whatever? They did some great self-scouting during that time to kind of fix some of the woes. There's more woes now.
Of course, after the bye coming out was when the defense had a rough performance, and then the defense got exposed by Cliff Kingsbury, and they've had effectively, you can't really take much from the last 2 games for the Broncos D, although it was nice to see them. The last couple of games helped the defensive numbers, like the baseline defensive numbers. And in fact, something that VJ is going to be able to have as a nice little check mark on his resume is that he has the D that's number 2 in the league in total defense behind Houston. And in fact, I put this in my piece at denversports.com. The Broncos are in the top 3 in total defense and scoring defense for the first time since 1989. They've been in the top 3 in both categories. So that's something very notable. First time top 3 total D and scoring D in 36 years. So hat tip to VJ. Certainly the last couple of games and the offenses they faced helped. But the other games coming out of the bye, Cliff Kingsbury put out a template. The Raiders couldn't really replicate it, but the Packers could and the Jaguars could.
Yep.
And Packers put up 26 like Washington did. Jaguars put up 34. Both of them move the ball fairly consistently. So there are things, even we talked about the red zone offense, there are things that the Broncos defense needs to work on. And oh, by the way, it's going to be a defense that still isn't going to have Brandon Jones back, although knock on whatever surface you can find, they're hoping to have Dre Greenlaw back for the divisional round. So that is one thing to watch starting Friday, Saturday for practices to see whether Dre Greenlaw is back on the practice field or not.
I don't want to sound crazy, Mace, but I have been accused of such. But when Sean Payton tells CBS after this game, the most interesting thing about this game was after the game when he told the broadcast crew of like, hey, J.K. Dobbins might be back sooner than the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Again, craziness, but Friday and Saturday will we be watching for J.K. Dobbins?
Maybe. I mean, that would tell me AFC championship game more so than the divisional game.
Divisional round, okay.
I'll say this. I'm going to toss this out to you. If J.K. Dobbins is back, which running back are you sitting?
Oh, boy.
Because it shouldn't be Jaleel McLaughlin in my opinion.
I mean, honestly, it's almost RJ, but he scores a touchdown, so it's probably Tyler by default.
Well, here's the thing.
That's a hell of a question, dude.
It's a heck of a question because they keep saying, okay, Tyler Bidet, third down, and he did have a flash on third down in the screen game.
Yep.
Jaleel has been more productive the last 3 games than RJ.
He's been on the ground.
Yes. Jaleel, by the way, Jaleel, little thing, he actually finished among running backs as the leader in average per carry, 5.1. He nudged out JK in YPC. JK's 5.0, Jaleel was 5.1. I think it would be a major mistake if when J.K. Dobbins comes back, if the Broncos play long enough for J.K. to come back, it would be a major mistake for the Broncos to sit Jaleel and not give him a jersey.
Yep.
And yeah, even though RJ has had the nose for the end zone, the guy who's been the more productive back on a per touch basis recently has been Jaleel McLaughlin. He's gotten going. He's gotten into a rhythm. Doesn't mean RJ is not somebody you're developing long term, but you're kind of making a short term move here. who is better right now. And I thought it was interesting, Cease, that they did open the game with Jaleel on Sunday.
Were you surprised by that?
Well, it was the formation that they came out with. They went 3 wide with Cortland, Pat Bryant, and Marvin Mims Jr., and Jaleel and Nate Adkins. By the way, I love the package that has Marvin and Jaleel on the field at the same time. Mm-hmm. I love that because it's the package that, in terms of having 2 explosive playmakers, it causes some uncomfortable questions for a defense. It's the one that makes you nervous. By the way, I figured you'd appreciate Jaleel breaking a tackle yesterday.
Yes, I did.
He did something that he couldn't do last year. So,
and RJ's still not hitting the hole on time. The run blocks are there on the coach's tape.
Yeah.
And he doesn't hit the hole on time. They open and close before he even gets there. Like, it's almost like he's hesitating before the handoff.
The interesting thing is RJ was actually cutting back well, but it doesn't mean he was hitting the hole as well as you wanted him to.
Right.
He's cutting back nicely, but he's not hitting the hole as crisply as he needs to. And Jaleel, when he was every time Jaleel got the ball, something good was happening yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I don't think you can take a jersey away from him when JK comes back, assuming the Broncos make it long enough for JK to return.
Right.
I don't think your best collection of players in uniform, I don't think you can afford to not have Jaleel get a jersey the way he's looking right now. He's earned it.
It's a tough question.
He's put in the work. It's a tough question to ask, but it's like, okay, I just don't think you can take. It's got to be either Bidet or RJ that loses a jersey and not Jaleel.
And with all those touchdowns, it'd be interesting if it was RJ that lost the jersey. But Bidet is the trusted third down back.
Yeah, I think that's the question that has to be asked. I don't think it's taking it away from Jaleel, though. In my opinion, if I'm making the call based on what I'm seeing, again, sort of like red zone. I'm not talking about one game. I'm talking about 3 games here. I'm talking about the last 3 games in adding them up. And with RJ, it's like he gets the one like explosive, like he'll get the 38-yard run against Jacksonville, and he'll get the 11-yard run, and then it's all like 1, 0, -1, all that. Whereas Jaleel, it's the production is coming on a more consistent basis than
Look
him.
at his long runs. I think they had the same number of long runs yesterday. It was like 10 yards for one, 11 yards for the other.
Yeah.
So it's not like Jaleel's numbers benefited from like this big 30-yarder.
Yes.
They both had that. It's just that it was only 6 carries for Jaleel. I would have doubled that up. And when I saw Jaleel starting, Mace, I was like, oh, RJ must be getting a reduced workload. And then RJ got all the carries. Give those carries to Jaleel. I bet things are a little different.
I mean, it's actually wild to see. It's like if you go through the last 4 games here. So RJ Harvey in the last 4 games, so it's going back to the Green Bay game. He's got 166 yards, but it's 166 yards, and it's coming on 55 carries. So you just do the quick math on that. 55, that's barely 3 yards a carry. And that's with a 38-yard run in there, the 38-yard touchdown they had against Jacksonville. So, I mean, that's like you take out that run, take out that 38-yarder, and, I mean, you're talking about a real, like, that per carry average, it's piddling right now for him, unfortunately, on the ground. And whereas with Jaleel, the production is simply coming it's just a much more consistent level of production in those 4 games. It's obviously not as many yards because he doesn't have the same number of carries, but in those 4 games, he's got 41, 80, 81 plus 41 here. So he's got 122 yards on 20 carries. So he's averaging.
It's well over 5 yards.
That's 6. So he's averaging 6 yards a carry, and RJ is just over 3 yards a carry. The interesting thing on Jaleel, though, you know what his long run in that span is? 16.
Wow.
So RJ's got the 38-yard run. He's averaging just over in the range of like 3+ yards per carry. Jaleel is averaging 6 yards a carry, but his long run is 16, which tells you he is consistently getting 6, 7, 8, 10, 12. Like he is getting jab, 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 jab. And what is something that coaches will always tell you they crave? Consistency.
Yes.
Above all, the thing that coaches want most is consistency. And Jaleel, when he's getting the ball right now, is consistently productive. I mean, sometimes like Luka Evans and the Denver Post and I sit near each other, and whenever Jaleel gets the ball, we always look at each other because we have the same thought on Jaleel, like. Because every time he gets the ball, something good is happening right now. Mm-hmm. It seems like. So it's like, okay, we see it. Are the coaches seeing the same thing?
Billy Idol gets it. Why didn't she get it? Right.
Yes.
I think I gotta watch that, man. I just want somebody to hold me and tell me they love me.
Yeah.
Take the shirt off before you jinx the band and they break up. How about we do this? We've got some news to go over with one Vance Joseph. We'll do that. But first, a word from our sponsor. It's RamosLaw.com. Today's episode of Orange and Blue Today is presented by Ramos Law, the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos. Ramos Law was founded by Dr. Joseph Ramos, an attorney and ER doctor, to provide exceptional care to those injured in accidents. With a unique understanding of both medicine and law, the Ramos Law team is built to fight for you every step of the way. Experience the Ramos Law difference. Contact them today at RamosLaw.com. The floodgates aren't yet open for Vance Joseph, something you and I talked about off air, Mace, but with VJ getting an interview with the Titans, I was like, I wonder why it's not more yet, because he should be near the top of the hottest coaching candidate. Clint Kubiak's up there for sure. Yeah. Clint Kubiak may get his this year, but Vance Joseph needs to be right there with him.
Well, it's a little bit slow at this point right now. We've only seen at this point, I'm going like on the NFL.com tracker page. We only have 6 requests in league-wide, okay? We've got 4 from the Titans and we've got 2 from the Falcons. The Falcons have requested Clint Kubiak of the Seahawks and Anthony Weaver, defensive coordinator from Miami. Tennessee has gone 4 coordinators. Lou Anarumo, defensive coordinator from the Colts. 2 coordinators from the Chiefs, Matt Nagy on the offensive side, Steve Spagnuolo on the defensive side, Vance Joseph from the Broncos on the defensive side. I'd say of those 4 for the Titans, the 2 that are most interesting are VJ and Matt Nagy. Nagy, obviously, coming from the Chiefs, quarterback-friendly scheme, and also because I think most people regard Nagy as the coach in waiting in Kansas City when Andy Reid eventually steps aside, even though there's no indication that Reid is stepping aside anytime soon. It seems like Reid, at minimum, wants to get what I think is fair to call kind of Mahomes era 2.0 to cruising altitude, because there's a little bit of a rebuild, reboot, retool, call it what you will, that's going to be going on this year, maybe in the next year in Kansas City.
And Reid could be there for the entire 2.0 process. Don't think that he's like 10 years away or 2 years away. He could be around for a while.
He doesn't have hobbies. He doesn't golf very much.
Right.
He's a football guy. Like, as long as Andy Reid has his health and is fired up, he's probably going to continue coaching. So in other words, like Matt Nagy may know that he's probably the guy who eventually replaces Andy Reid, but that may not be for a while. Like Andy's very comfortable doing what he's doing there. So Nagy's interesting because of obviously his success with Kansas City. He's got past head coaching experience with Chicago. Hey, they did go to the playoffs a couple of times. It wasn't entirely a failure there in Chicago with Matt Nagy.
Right.
Vance Joseph, he's intriguing because he would potentially bring Davis Webb with him. So with Matt Nagy, you have the offensive guy. He's worked with quarterbacks. With VJ, you have somebody who would bring probably Davis Webb with him to Tennessee. And, of course, the big thing there in Tennessee is how would you develop Cam Ward? And we can go back to early in the season. VJ spoke very highly of Cam Ward and his potential and what he thought of him heading into the game. Certainly has a lot of respect for Cam Ward. I don't think VJ would have a problem building around Cam Ward. I don't think he would go there and say, I need to get another quarterback. I think he would go to Tennessee and say, he's my guy. We're going to get pieces around him, but would view Cam Ward as a foundational quarterback. And so I think that, plus the idea of potentially taking Davis Webb with him to guide the development of Ward on a day-to-day basis, I think that would potentially be a very attractive combination for Tennessee. And it's why I think for the Titans, it's the sort of situation where if they start conversing with VJ, it's might be something. He has a chance to win them over. Even though I still think the best possibility for VJ is probably something similar with the Giants and Jackson Dart, especially. The other thing with the Titans is, from an ownership perspective, I don't know if that's the type of situation that VJ would want to go in, because it's not exactly the most well-run organization from the top down, compared to, we know, Sean Payton and his relationship with John Mara, who, of course, he's dealing with cancer right now. There was a very emotional moment in the Giants locker room after the game on Sunday when they presented with the game ball and paid tribute to him. But certainly Sean Payton, having worked with the Giants, would, if the Giants offered VJ the job, Sean would tell him, hey, this is the kind of organization you want to go to based on my own experience there. So that's going to matter as well. I don't think VJ is necessarily going to take any job if it's offered to him. So that's something to keep in mind too.
That's a nice way to be, where he doesn't have to jump at the first thing.
Yeah.
He can be patient. And the first guy I talked to is Sean Payton, because he'd probably tell you, don't go to the Titans.
He would probably say that. He'd probably say it's become kind of a graveyard. Now you can win
should
there.
Mike Vrabel still be there?
Mike Vrabel
should still be there.
Mike Vrabel, okay, and here's the thing. Mike Vrabel won there. Mike Mularkey did get the event, and
they got fired after winning a playoff
That's
game.
the thing. And this is a strange organization.
Craziness.
Okay. And it's been this way a long time. All right? This organization, if you go all the way back to when they were the Houston Oilers, they have fired 3 coaches after playoff seasons. They fired Bum Phillips in 1980 after making the playoffs 3 years in a row. The third year, the year he said they were going to kick the door, and they lost the wild card game to the Raiders, and they fired him. They fired Jerry Glanville after a third consecutive playoff season. They fired Mike Mularkey, or I think it was they didn't renew his contract, but they let him go after they beat Kansas City.
Yes.
in KC. And it was their first playoff win, I think it was the franchise's first playoff win in 15 years, and they let him go.
Yeah.
It is a strange organization, the Titans. Always, and it always has been. And it's worth bringing up when they were the Oilers as well, because it's the same family. It was Bud Adams back then. It's now his daughter, Amy Adams Strunk, running the team. So it's kind of always been this way. that is kind of the hornet's nest you're stepping into if you go to that franchise. It's a mom and pop shop, but it's kind of a crazy mom and pop shop. Whereas like the Bengals are a mom and pop shop, for example, but as we see, for example, with the news of the last 24 hours that they're sticking with Duke Tobin and Zach Taylor, that's an organization where they give you some space and they give you some grace. Okay. They're patient. Like if the Bengals and Titans were open, even though the Bengals are not exactly regarded as a fountain of function, I would tell VJ, hey, I'd go to Cincinnati because at least in Cincinnati, they're going to give you a chance. In Tennessee, you might do the job right, and they might still let you go. I mean, again, they fired Vrabel, which looks incredibly stupid right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked incredible to me, Cease. It looked incredibly stupid at the time when they fired Vrabel. I think I said that. Yeah, like this is dumb. Like you're not going to find a better coach. It's kind of the same with Cleveland today. You're not going to find a better coach probably than Kevin Stefanski. And the fact that Stefanski is immediately getting interest now as the Browns fire him, I mean, that should have given Cleveland a hint, like, maybe we shouldn't let go of this guy because other teams are going to be interested in him, that there may be a team that potentially gets rid of its coach to hire him, but, that's what... They're the Browns. Okay, they're the Browns. They're the Titans. I mean, it's not that they can't win from time to time, but there's a reason why they don't keep it together as long as they should, right? When they have these opportunities. Okay, I mean, teams with good ownership can lose. Teams with bad ownership can win. But they don't. Teams with bad ownership don't maximize what they are. Like the Browns, Cease, should have been in the last several years much better than they have been, okay? The Browns have 2 playoff appearances and 1 playoff win since 2020. And really go back to 2018 when they drafted Baker Mayfield, and that was when they started to come around. So they had Baker Mayfield. They've had Myles Garrett, who is Myles Garrett, I think, has probably reached that top. He's probably a top 5 all-time edge rusher at this point. I think he's hit that level. He is reaching that Lawrence Taylor, type of conversation. Like he's in the pantheon now. That they have him. That they had Baker Mayfield, a pretty good quarterback in their midst that they drafted, and they got a playoff win with him, and that they've only gotten 2 playoff appearances and 1 playoff win out of these last 8 years, and they had a very good coach in Kevin Stefanski for most of that run. That's abysmal. If you gave a Greg Penner organization those kind of resources, they would have gotten a heck of a lot more out of it than Jimmy Haslam and his organization have. But that's where ownership comes into play.
Yep. And that's Cleveland. So they'll do. It's so bad. Kyle Shanahan had to leave. People forget that
They had Kyle Shanahan. That's right.
And Kyle was like, "Get me out of here."
1 year. He got to Atlanta after 1 year.
1 year.
Think about Kyle Shanahan was in Washington and Cleveland for a couple of years. A little over a decade ago. He went from Washington to Cleveland. My word.
Right.
Whew.
But Cleveland's so bad, you just gotta leave.
Man, I mean, Kyle, the stories he could tell about dysfunctional organizations.
Right.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, Broncos country, you've got it so good with this ownership group.
Yes.
And again, it's not that there won't be bad seasons at some point, okay? There'll be, you had a 5-12 season in 2022, the first year. There'll be another bad season at some point on Greg Penner's watch. It'll happen. It'll happen sometime. The thing that is that they won't stay down forever. And you know eventually they're going to figure it out. Like you don't have that hopelessness that's going to set in. That said, there are certain things that can overcome ownership. A great quarterback can overcome ownership. I mean, I'll say this. Great quarterback and great coach can overcome ownership. That's what happens in Kansas City.
Right.
Because Clark Hunt is not in the Penners class at all. But they have a Hall of Fame coach and they have a Hall of Fame owner, and they've had an all-time great player at tight end, for example, in Travis Kelce.
Maybe the best that ever played tight end.
Yes, exactly. They've had some very special people who have allowed them to overcome an owner who, shall we say, is frugal in certain things.
Right.
There's a reason why the Chiefs, if you look at the NFLPA surveys that have come out,
by the way,
the Chiefs are at the bottom of a lot, or near the bottom. They're like down there with the Cardinals and a bunch of the metrics.
Ooh.
When the Broncos, where they've ranked low, they've endeavored to fix all those things. Like the one thing they couldn't really fix was the locker room, the size of it, and things like that because of the facility. But they're about to fix that in a big way when they move across the practice fields to the other side and open that new facility here in a few months, though. So, but yeah, when the Broncos get some bad grades in the NFLPA survey, they take that seriously. By the way, they're not one of the teams that's trying to get the NFLPA to stop doing that. That's the New York Jets. That's another crazy organization. Yeah.
Maybe they should try getting picks.
Yeah, it's the bad organizations are the ones that say, well, we don't want you to do the survey anymore. The Broncos are an organization that sees the NFLPA survey and like, oh, well, we need to do better. How do we get this right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between a good organization and a bad organization.
Is it seen as feedback or is it seen as like too harsh of a criticism?
Uh-huh. They actually listen to their players. Means that, again, it's why you're very lucky with these people. They listen to their players.
Best ownership in sports.
Yeah, it's right up there.
There.
They're doing pretty well.
Well, Mace, that wraps up our Monday show. We have an interesting week. I would like to further examine things like that RJ Harvey conversation as this week goes on. And
I've been thinking about it all day. I got to tell you,
dude, that's a perfect segment.
Yeah,
perfect show. Mm-hmm.
I do not think you can take Jaleel out of the lineup the way he's playing.
I don't think you should.
Yeah.
So, well, I think you should help us out here on our Denver Sports YouTube channel as we seek to grow. So, Mace, how can folks further help us on YouTube?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you
never miss
vid. Sassy Mace today. That's right. He is
sassy
Andrew
and
Mason.
saucy, and you're frosty.
Sassy, saucy, and frosty, and something. Anyway, he's Mace. I'm Cease. Follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying OBT is a what? It's a BFD.
BFD.
Thank you. Stay tuned. Stay frosty.